In this video, I will explain why we can get a 2023 altcoin style run and why we already may be in it as we speak. Please remember that nothing I ever say is financial advice. I'm going to lay out my arguments for why I think we're currently staring at a 2023 style run. I think many people mistake the 2023 style run with the 2024 Q1 run. And although Q1 2024 marked the top for the markets with the most explosive upside, you could argue that the very start of this whole entire run actually started from June 2023, which marked the low, and what eventually came after this was a run that lasted all the way until December, before we had a small correction for them to ultimately finish off in Q1 of 2024. On average here, you would see that the returns from the June low until December high and from January low until the March high are more or less equal. And the reason why people often refer to this whole rally as the Q1 rally is because this is where the biggest retail wave we have seen this cycle enter the space. If you go back and check the kind of views YouTubers, including my channel, got back here, you would see that videos got a stupid amount of views. So this is where people got in, but real gains already started accumulating back here. By the time Q1 came, altcoins like Solana had already done a 9x. And the reason why I especially think this time period right now that we're currently in is crucial is because I think this August low could be a higher low before we see a rally similar to what we saw starting in 2023. And this August month has been a very crucial month for altcoin rallies. It just tends to get overlooked by the big three, being October, November, and December. Actually, in this cycle alone, August has been a crucial month that has marked some sort of low before takeoff. In 2024, August marked the low with the yen carry trade. Again, although we like to talk about the November or the December rally, it was back here where you got the life-changing entries. Here is where you made the money, not in December. And this logic also applies to bear markets. It's in the bear market where you will set yourself up for life-changing money. In August of 2024 is where you could get things like Solana extremely cheap, like we did when we timed the Solana bottom perfectly and took profits at the top. Right now, I'm focusing more on finding good mid to lower caps as I think they will move next. So make sure to join the Discord if you want to get into these gems early. And although not as impactful, August also marked a mini low back in 2023. More importantly here is that this was after the correction we had in June the same year, similar to the dip we saw this June 2 months ago. So what if this August low right here is a higher low before we embark on the final rally? The main difference here for the people watching right now is that you're not watching this during Q4. You're watching this in August. And I think a lot of people that have left this space always had in the back of their mind that they could just position themselves when things flip bullish. But even though the chart in hindsight looks to paint a very apparent picture of where the lows were and where we stabilized, I think the slow and steady pump many altcoins now have seen has been very subtle. Many of the solid coins are already up at least 100% since this April low back here, and we're still nowhere near any type of euphoria. So I think a lot of people that are sidelined here will be forced to buy back in at some point. I also think this time frame of an August rally correlates very well with the fact that Bitcoin dominance is starting to look weak. The negative narrative for this cycle is visibly shown here. Altcoins will not perform. That's the narrative that has been fed to you for the entirety of especially 2024 and 2025. Like I've said for almost a year now, I think this is the narrative that is going to lead us to a lockout rally. But something crucial to be aware of when it comes to Bitcoin dominance is that you have to view the dominance in the respective context of the entire market, because this indicator alone is not going to be able to paint a picture of altcoins as a whole. For instance, in December of 2024, we saw a 11% drop in dominance. And this little dip right here caused a pretty significant altcoin rally pretty much across all narratives. Today, we're starting to get close to a similar drop, but alts, especially compared to the December rally, are generally lagging. This, of course, suggests a more selective market rotation rather than universal altcoin rally. This dominance drop is mostly due to a few top performers, most notably Ethereum, that is currently leading the way. So right now we're of course in a Ethereum season, but this will eventually further facilitate a more explosive rally given that this liquidity rotation from the likes of Ethereum is going to get rotated at some point. Most of you already know that I had my dominance target that I made back in April of 2024 back here, where I predicted a 65% dominance top for this cycle. If 66% was the top for this cycle, I'll call that close enough. The reason why I predicted it to go all the way up here was because at this level, you could argue that Bitcoin has absorbed enough of the market capital, which in return creates a larger profit pool for rotation into altcoins. At such high dominance level as this 66%, I expected altcoins to be more suppressed, more undervalued, and oversold, which I believe is what it would take this cycle to fuel these long-lasting and finally truly explosive rallies. We did manage to briefly close under this 50-week SMA, which is a level we have struggled with a lot of times throughout this cycle. We also more notably bounced from this uptrend line from November of 2022. So far this cycle, we have never dipped below this trend line. So this is an area we need to expect a lot of support. And it's also an area we need to monitor closely. This was the area we also struggled with a lot during November, December of last year. So these next couple of days and weeks here will be absolutely crucial. But so far, things are looking very good. If 66% proves to be the top for this cycle, which it looks like it might, then I think we can see about a 20 to 30% dip in dominance. Before I highlight exactly what I'm going to do right now in this market, I think the upcoming months, you have to be very critical of the people you follow. You have to challenge the validity of everything every influencer says, especially when we're on the cusp of the most important time period of the whole cycle. If you didn't take profits during December because of greed, then let me tell you, December was a piece of cake compared to what we have ahead of us. I'm just letting you know right now because the people that have experienced a true all rally know it's very hard to maneuver. No one, and I mean no one, of the big YouTube channels called the top last cycle. No one. Everyone has deleted their videos on how this wasn't the blow off top they saw back in 2017. So you have to be very critical. And this critical attitude should also apply to the content you get from this channel. I've noticed that I think differently from other influencers. I share my strategies that have made me able to quit my 9 to 5. For instance, one of those strategies includes taking profits early. This is to make sure that people that follow my trades actually make money. Trust me when I say this, I will get a lot more subscribers if I was perma-bullish, setting insane targets, but we already have enough of that in this space. Although I'm not a financial advisor, I want to be a channel where people can get conservative, level-headed perspective in a moon boy dominated market. This is important because both you and I know respected influencers in this space that didn't even tell you to at least consider buying ETH at the lows here, but still told you we would get an altcoin rally. So completely irrational takes driven by emotions like that can still come from influencers who have been around the block. And you just have to be aware of that. And yet people look back and wonder how you could possibly miss Bitcoin at 16K. You might have witnessed the same thing happen with Ethereum. The positive thing here is that Ethereum now serves as a testament to the fact that things can't really turn around in crypto, no matter how gloomy the chart looks. Even one of the ugliest looking charts, especially considering Ethereum is the number one altcoin, can turn around. From a pure charting perspective, this did not look good. So if this chart can turn around, then there is a chance your altcoin with similar looking chart or even worse looking chart can turn around. But here comes a very important distinction. Your altcoin is not Ethereum. The main variable you should look for when it comes to coins that are now underperformers, but you know can pump, should not be fundamental development, but the potential for hype. I think we all know by now that the main question you should be asking is not how good the project is, but why other people should buy it. Those two things might sound the same, but in reality are completely different. This meme frenzy we've seen is a very clear tell that mass liquidity isn't necessarily going to strong fundamental projects, but the projects that can create hype. Now, those two things don't need to be mutually exclusive, but if you're sitting on a project right now, you have to do this thought exercise. Will the new wave of noob retail look at this project and think, this is the one? This is the one that is going to secure my financial freedom? Will they be looking at a chart like this and think, yes, I found it. This is the next Axie Infinity or SPX? I think it's really important that you focus on the good performers. Last video, I talked about the two best risk to reward coins I had in the market, being Say and Miggles. I still stand by these two coins. If you can find a low cap that is a good performer like Miggles, that is still lacking catalyst events like Coinbase, then it's a very good bet for further continuation. I will continue to provide the best risk to reward coins on this channel moving forward with tier lists and altcoin portfolio guides, so make sure to subscribe to not miss those videos. And finally, I want to highlight what we can expect moving forward and exactly what my plan is. If we were to get a rally similar to what we saw during 2023, then we are essentially looking at many weeks or even months of upside. But it's really important to acknowledge that there will come a lot of pullbacks. Even back in 2023, from the end of August, we basically had almost a 2-month shopping period where alts didn't really do much. It wasn't until October where we embarked on a more explosive rally. Now, I believe we will get a dip somewhere around September time. This is what I talked about in my last video, where the best course of action is to take profits early. And people confuse this with exiting entire altcoin positions before September in hopes of getting better entries before the final rally. I want to make it clear that this is not something I can advocate for, because the pain of FOMO, which you stand to experience if September for some reason turns out to be bullish, is going to mess with your mental, leading you to probably gamble a lot throughout these later months where I do in fact see us going for an explosive rally. I think you've come way too far in this cycle to fumble at the finish line like that. Here's my plan for the final months of this cycle. Take as much profit as I possibly can through these next couple of weeks in preparation for a dip. If we don't get it, then I will still have exposure in the market. At the top here, I will begin shorting the market and then gradually buy into Bitcoin, compounding these gains. I still believe there will come a time where you can get Bitcoin at somewhere between 40 to 70K. Just imagine that you've secured a highly achievable 10x on your entire portfolio for this run, for then to buy Bitcoin during the bear market and let that 10x profit get compounded with Bitcoin. Until then, try and make as much money as you conservatively are able to this cycle. The Discord will now be dedicated to finding the best altcoin gems and getting into them early before they pump. We've had some really good calls lately. We also have a competent community where Doge was shilled at 600k market cap, which did a 130x. Prices will increase within August, you have been warned, so get in now to lock in this price. If you want to join short in the market and buying back in during the bear market, then I recommend the lifetime option here before this price also increases. Crypto payment is also available here. I hope to see you there. Take care and stay safe.